What is up, rebel colonists and Mars citizens? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are beginning our coverage of Mobile Suit Gundam Frozen Teardrop Volume 4. Last time, we learned about Katarine, who took Prometheus Gundam. She fought against Snow White and Warlock, but was saved by Naen and Naen Peacecraft. We also learned about the young boy named Troa Phobos. This time, we switch up focus to Father Maxwell. We see his past relationship with Hildy and his problems with alcohol and drugs. He runs into Zex, who now goes by the name Sirene Wind, and we learn of the young boy named Duo. So let's get into this. This volume starts with a quote directly from the conversation between Hiro and Trace during this scene. You know, that scene where Trace goes full hipster before unveiling the Epion. MC 0022, next winter. Kathy Poe is currently looking over the Zex files. We switch from her perspective to Maxwell's point of view. They just get word that Katarine was able to give them the slip and make off with the Gundam. Master Chang calls Maxwell Jr. and Hiro idiots. The only Gundam they have here is Master Chang's, but he has never used it. Maxwell says they are no longer in their prime. These assholes are what, 30, maybe 31? Stop being so dramatic. He does say that Sirene Wind is still out there, and to let him do as he pleases. Master Chang contemplates the last time he saw Sirene Wind. He is referring to Zex. MC 0017, first summer. I believe Mars has 4 seasons, like Earth. They are just longer, so I am not sure what is going on with the 2 summers thing. Father Maxwell travels through the Mars desert on his motorbike. He calls himself Father, but he actively avoids churches and doesn't do anything priestly, as he puts it. He is more of a bounty hunter than anything. He treats Mars like the Wild West, full of day drinking, prostitutes, and gambling. He then heads to a town called Sirene. He had to stop to get his bike fixed, as exhausts get clogged real quick on Mars. He parks his bike outside of a saloon, walks in, and orders a glass of wild turkey. Wild turkey survived through both AD and after Colony? Who is shipping wild turkey to Mars? Are there any other brands that survived? That opens up so many questions. Duo takes a shot and asks for the Colonel. The bartender's face goes pale. He simply points to a table in the back. Father Maxwell can take a guess at which one in the group is the Colonel. He heads over to the table of men playing poker. Maxwell takes his palm and shoves it into the Colonel's face, knocking his chair over. Duo pulls out a shotgun and aims it at the other man's head. He then pulls out a cigarette. Who is this version of Duo? I want to see more of him. Maxwell talks about Seaniacs and other hedonistic forms of culture from the old days. The Colonel doesn't know what he is getting at. This man is responsible for killing Elv Onagel, one of Trace's former specials. That is when a mysterious man approaches them. He answers Maxwell by saying the absence of pain is pleasure, which means the ultimate pleasure must be death. The father tells the Colonel to start talking, as this man has far more kills than he has. He says that a man named Neuenheim Konzern hired him to take out Elv Onagel. After saying this, the mysterious man puts a bullet in his head. Luckily for Duo, the bounty was for him to be dead or alive. This man is none other than Zex. That's right, the Lightning Count himself, the heir of the Lost Nation, codenamed the Wind that puts out the fire. That's right, I'm talking about none other than Naen Peacecraft. He has a lot of names. The two get a drink. Don't mind the blood everywhere, I guess. Father Maxwell calls him the man that brought independence to Mars. Don't give him another name. He says that was Miliardo, not him. Oh right, we are playing this game still. He brings up the Federation President, Disnuf Neuenheim, who is Noin's brother. Disnuf is 19 in French. Keeping that number motif going. Zex is annoyed simply by the sound of his name. Noin is at an event with him. They switch from wild turkey to tequila. He was going to ask what's next for him, but he's a wild card, so he chose not to. Rather, he wonders what should he call him now. He says, "Call me Sirene Wind." Behind them comes a little girl. It is Naen Peacecraft. Where were you during the murder? Maxwell mentions since he's gotten here. The aging is something that he hasn't gotten used to. The cause of the accelerated aging is unknown, and it is referred to as the geriatric plague. Okay, they weren't being dramatic earlier. They really are aging faster. It varies depending on the individual and their environment. Father Maxwell only has been here for 2 years, but that is 4 to 5 Earth years. Sirene has a favor to ask him. He wants him to take Naena to the Schweiker orphanage, aka Hilda Schweiker. He doesn't want Disnuf Neuenheim to be an influence on her. He promises that he will return for her. They will head out tomorrow after Father Maxwell sobers up. Naena has a parting gift from Sirene the Wind Peacecraft Marquise. While Duo was passed out drunk, some guys came and started trouble. They all had bounties, so we left their bodies so Father Maxwell can collect a decent chunk of cash. They head off into the Mars desert. MC 0017, next summer. The two traveled from town to town as they would have to constantly repair the bike. They then headed south towards the Green Republic, where the orphanage is located. He reflects on Disnoof Neuenheim. His family's company traveled between Mars and Jupiter within the asteroid belt and mined the resources, which then produced most of the colonies that brought forth the after-colony era. They controlled colonies up until AC-130, where his patents expired. This led humanity into a second colony boom. During this boom is when Mars began their terraforming project. They lived that dome life, with an orbital elevator connecting the surface to Phobos. But then Mars has less oxygen and less gravity. Like the moon, many didn't want to build a life in these environments, and the money men went away. Also, by this time, money started going to mobile suits and the military-industrial complex. He is certain that Disnoof Neuenheim is responsible for sending MO7 crashing into Mars, with the exact algae needed for growth. Disnoof and Noin's dad Nove would have shrugged this off as opposed to the Romafellers, who would have made a profit off of the deaths. But apathy aside, Noin's family is a part of the elite, no different than the Bartons. The now total pacifist lifestyle around the Earth sphere doesn't work for Mars. A place that needs growth, needs competition, and with that bred terrorism and a rise of orphans due to prostitution. I like to think that there is a bunch of slave children waiting to rise up in this universe like post-Calamity. But within the grim lifestyle, there are places of hope, like the Schweiker orphanage run by Hildy. It is under her name because Duo is still a wanted man. Also on Mars, churches don't get tax breaks, as Duo is barely a priest. This is barely a church and functions more as an orphanage for children in need. Duo funnels his bounties and gambling money into the orphanage. He tries to do good with what he calls dirty money. He introduces Naena to everyone. Since she was older than most of them, she fell into an older sister role quite quickly. They recently got a drifter kid that came in. Hildy jokes that it is his lost child. Duo thinks, I was with a few girls before Hildy. Nah, the timing doesn't line up. Duo be banging. Hildy decided to name the kid Duo. He hangs around a little bit before heading out. While smoking, he thinks, yeah, I probably shouldn't be around impressionable children for too long. He heads out to see that the little boy changed his oil filter for him. He says, are you my dad? Duo goes, hell no. We just have a similar face. Bro, that's not a similar face. That's the exact face. He tells the kid to treat Hildy well, and he takes off. So we learn Maxwell Jr. isn't actually his real child. MC0022, next winter, Kathy Poe pulls off the glasses. She wonders if this is all true. Who is the Major General Zex Marquise that is currently occupying the Green Republic? Father says that Zex currently goes by Sirene Wind. She thinks it is a double or plastic surgery, but Duo is certain that this isn't the case, because Hildy snuck onto the Libra. Before he could finish that sentence, alarms goes off. Master Chang picks up 4 mobile suits from the Green Republic. 3 of them are Virgo 4s. The Oz-03 MD-4, Virgo 4, has 8 defensors, a Buster rifle, beam sabers, and enhanced thrusters. The other unit happens to be Gundam Epion. It seems they are finally making their move. Wu Fei will head out in his Gundam Nataku, aka Epion Bai. This is a white modified Epion. Father Maxwell takes a look at the screens. That red color. He is certain this is just like the machine he fought during the Eve Wars. They seem to be making their way towards Olympus Mons. They are after Snow White and Warlock. Wu Fei will engage in 30 minutes. They wonder if they should contact Duo and Hiro. He says they should contact Captain Sakai of the Voyage. Kathy focuses on hacking into the Mars Federation forces' surveillance, but the Federation's security is very quick. Duo isn't an old man and thinks that he can still pilot a Gundam. He thinks back to 10 years ago, MC0012, first spring. During this, he still went by Duo. He was considering breaking things off with Hildy. They have apparently been in an on-again, off-again relationship, but she beats him to it and breaks up with him first. He says he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he says his long braided hair is stupid. She says, hello to Solo for me. Oh wait, he's dead, and then she just leaves. Damn. He goes after her. As he grabs her, she throws him to the ground. She threatens a restraining order and leaves. MC0012, next autumn. Duo lived out near Olympus Mons. He sobered up after his breakup. He is amazed by the terraforming progress on Mars, as there are some areas that get close to breathable atmospheres. He thinks of what humanity's greatest legacies will be, not the pyramids, not the terraforming, as that is just a byproduct of science. Maybe it is something grander. He felt a sense of solitude he hasn't felt since he was a kid, and even shed a tear. Then he felt loneliness. MC0014, next winter. Over the past few months, immigration on Mars went up drastically. It isn't hard to immigrate, as it's still the Wild West. You just need a background check, and a vaccine against Martian degenerative disease. People seem to have gotten tired of the so-called freedom of the Earth sphere. However, crime went up. It is only a matter of time until a military will be formed, as Earthsphere military can't interfere. Duo goes out for a drive on his bike and ends up crashing. He was a little drunk, which didn't help. His left arm and both of his legs feel broken. He spots his bike on fire in the distance. Suddenly, it starts snowing. He goes in and out of consciousness and notes a circus. Then he hears someone approach, calling him an idiot. They eventually call for help. Duo mentions they use the heavy arms to transport him. He thinks if he wakes up, he won't drink again. MC 0015, First Spring. Hildy came to visit him. She is amazed by his stupidity. Before she came, he asked to look for a traveling circus, but came up empty. They gave him a vaccine to the degenerative plague, but he thinks it is a fake. The circus he was looking for connected him to Hildy. She now works for the National Library in the Lana Green Republic. After getting bailed out by her, he decided to head to the Southern Hemisphere, ironically crashing with Hildy for a little bit. He ended up taking a bartending job. Eventually, he got enough money to buy an engine from a 1500cc bike called the Ares Hornet Mark III Schweiss. But before he could buy it, Hildy took his money for all the trouble with the medical bills. Impulsively, he asks her to marry him. He eventually says that he will even cut his ponytail for her. Remember, he won't cut his hair because of what happened to Sister Helen and the Maxwell Church. And when I say remember, I mean we haven't covered this yet. We will get to it in Glory to the Losers. He just wants funds for a bike. So he was actually amazed that she agreed. She was enticed by Duo cutting his hair. The two even held a hair-cutting ceremony. He was good for a few months working for the Mars Terraformers, but in secret he lived that bounty hunter life to make some extra cash for the bike. Once the bike was fixed up, he took off, leaving Hildy in the dust. MC 0016, First Spring. Father Maxwell returned to the Lana Green Republic, but didn't head into the main city so he wouldn't run into Hildy. However, while on the outskirts, he happened to run into her in a nun's outfit. She says, "You asshole. Duo was left the church, but it was actually drowning in debt. Hildy is financially ruined for being an idiot and marrying him. She wants a divorce." His legal name on his marriage certificate was James Clerk Maxwell. He was forced to pay off a lot of debt that Hildy was burdened with, and she forced him to help at the church. He went with it. Once again, not because he owes it to her, but because he needs to give his body time to heal before he inevitably takes off again. Except Hildy expected it when it did happen this time. The kids even said goodbye to him. He went on to gamble and collect bounties. But now he occasionally sends money to the Schweiker orphanage. MC 0018 next winter. Father Maxwell is visiting the orphanage for Christmas. On Mars, Christmas is just a random day they picked. He picks up a Santa outfit and brings gifts to the kids. Maxwell says that Naena and the other children have a sense of sadness that looms over them, as Mars is quite bleak. Sirene Wind hasn't made his appearance since he gave up Naena. The kids don't know what Santa is, so Father Maxwell gets a lukewarm response from them. Later, Little Duo helps him fix up his bike. The kid tells him that Naena looks out the window every day waiting for her father. Hildy once warned Father Maxwell, "If you keep letting the past drag you down, you'll look around one day and find yourself paralyzed by sentimentality." Little Duo falls asleep. Father Maxwell drapes the Santa coat over the kid and continues working on his bike. Suddenly, he hears a shriek. Someone came in and captured Naena. It was quick and efficient, so these guys are military trained. He follows them into a construction area where there are Mars suits. Father Maxwell plans on stealing one of the Mars suits to attack. But that is when a mobile suit comes in, shredding the Mars suits. Father Maxwell switches to a sniper rifle. This mobile suit seems new, yet familiar. He knew it had to be Sirene Wind. The kidnappers put a gun to Naena's head. That is when Father Maxwell takes them out with the sniper rifle. Sirene Wind gets out and hugs his daughter for the first time in a year and a half in Mars years, or about 3 Earth years. He is taking back his daughter. Naena gives the father a hair clip. It is a gift for Little Duo. Maxwell is like, "You don't want to say goodbye yourself?" Oh, they're already gone. MC 0022 next winter. Little Duo tries to contact the preventers, but Kathy cuts him off because he isn't on a secure line. He finally calls over the proper channels. He is wearing the clip that Naena gave him. The kid wants to go after Zex, but they tell him to shut up. Hiroyui cuts in. He wonders why they didn't stop Wu Fei from getting into Nataku. He says he will clean up their mess and cuts the comms off, not giving anyone a chance to respond. Kathy is able to hack into the Mars Federation systems. Master Chang and his Epion finally make contact. Kathy hacking into the system allows everyone to watch the camera feeds. They look on to Nataku, aka Epion Bai. We get some more data on this unit. Kathy mentions it looks like a 3-headed dragon when in flight mode. It retains the twin beam trident that was also used on Ultron Gundam. It also retains the Dragon Fang. He mentions that dogfights never last long.
Even Hiro never really engaged in a dogfight, as Wing's bird mode was mainly for bombing runs. Zex's Epion, on the other hand, looks like a double-headed wyvern, crimson in color with a focus on dueling, as God and Trace Kushunada intended. It also retains the Zero System. He stops referring to it as the Epion system, as it and the Zero System are the same. Zex mentions that Hiro almost went insane while using it. For Milliarder Peacecraft, the Zero System led him to try to purge Earth's population. You know, just a minor oopsie-daisy. Kathy brings everyone coffee and mentions that Master Chang doesn't trust anyone and makes his own coffee. The Zero System is not activated on the Epion Bai, as Master Chang likes control. He took the schematics of the old Epion to build Bai. It was painted white and blue, similar to the tall geese too. For Trace, the color red and black represent the color of losers. This was when he was in his losers era. Black and red is the opposite of white and blue. He seems to idolize Trace, but he also named it Nataku after his wife. Master Chang does what is called a pylon turn, slowly encroaching on the unit. Zex has to buy time until his support Virgo 4s come in. Wu Fei has to end this before he transforms. As he circles the dragon, Zex makes the first move. He was using the Zero System. He would be able to calculate maneuvers faster. Kathy, watching his movements, notes that he is getting his maneuvers from a different dataset. Epion gets a direct hit on Nataku, but he uses the Dragon Fang to get a succession of hits. He realizes that Zex's machine is covered in Martian dust. His is pristine due to him spending meticulous hours polishing it. This gives him a slight edge when they clash with one another. The Zero System can't take into account the love that Wu Fei poured into the machine. He has to finish this before it drags out for too long. Master Chang takes the unit beyond top gear. The base begins blasting Wagner's Flight of the Valkyries. He does a figure-8 maneuver while firing beam blasts. Wu Fei gets close enough to jam his trident into the torso. It slams into the ground and they both transform into mobile suit form. Bai is sleek and slim while Epion is a massive force. The left arm of the red Epion has been replaced as it was cut off during the Eve Wars. He has the tenacity of Zex, even though, remember, this isn't the real Zex. Wu Fei is at his limits. He has no choice but to activate the Zero System. He is reminded of Hiro and Zex's fight in the anime, where the Zero System put them in a doom loop, a loop of mutually assured destruction. Kathy notices that the Virgo 4s have made it to the battlefield. It doesn't look like Wu Fei is going to win this one. The production of Virgo 3s were done by the asteroid planet Vulcanus. This played a role in the Eve Wars and is now around Mars. Kathy wouldn't be surprised that Neuenheim would be responsible for resurrecting this from the Mars suit production line. She notes that there really isn't a difference between this and the old Virgo 2s of old, although it resembles the Vi-8 more closely. They all work together to use their 24 planetary defensors to create a triple-layer magnetic barrier. Troa Phobos comes onto Kathy's comms. He tells them that Snow White is moving in to help out, and he is using the Zero System as well. Kathy tells Warlock and the others to move to a rendezvous point, but Duo moves in to help Hiro. He tries to find a weak spot in the magnetic barrier. Snow White fires the Twin Buster rifle at the barrier. He just goes full force. Inside the barrier, Nataku desperately tries to use his Dragon Fang, but he is losing ground. The defensors go down and Warlock and Snow White move in. Wu Fei feels that he has failed. During the battle, Kathy was in his ear encouraging him to use the Zero System. He tells her to prepare a cup of coffee. He needs lots of sugar and cream. For the first time, he trusts someone with this coffee. And it's a woman. You know how Wu Fei feels about women. That is when Katerin comes on the comms. The Mars Federation Forces Airborne Division will be there any moment. 50 heavy transport hovercrafts are approaching. 10 Mars suits per transport. She also warns them that they are going to have 2 unverified guests. They seem to be focusing on a war of attrition. That is when Naen Peacecraft, Naen, and the Federation come bursting into the Preventor's North Pole base. She realizes that Hiro has awakened from cryo-sleep. Relena demands they contact him. Hiro reaches out on the comms saying, "What do you want?" Relena speaks out and says, "Hiro, it really is you. I missed you." Hiro, without missing a beat, goes, "Yes, what do you want?" I love this mental illness disguised as a relationship. It's so glorious. She says, "Did you forget that you wanted to kill me?" Hiro says, "I've already accepted that mission. Once this battle ends, I'll carry that out immediately." But then he asks if she carried out her mission yet, and cuts off the transmission. Naen copies the Preventer data. On the battlefield comes a glow. A friendly Zex. It is Sirene Wind. He is in Tall Geese Heaven. This is the mobile suit that came and took Naena away years before. Relena realizes her brother made it after all. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, Frozen Teardrop Volume 4. Duo was always the silly one, I guess, of the pilots. But they take them to extreme and somewhat obnoxious levels in this. Maybe if the writers leaned into Duo, drawn into a life of depravity, because all he knows about is war, or perhaps because of a deeper exploration of Solo, then there would be character reason for his attitude. But here, he's just kind of a dick. This ends the Requiem for Perpetual Chain arc. And now we enter the Nocturne and Morning arc. In Volume 5, we dive into the Peacecraft files, where we learn more about Relina as well as the original Hiro Yui. But that will do it for now, losers. Remember to make sure to check with the homies so you don't end up with the same Gundams like Wu Fei and Zex. Peace.